Where am I at, man? There we go, man. First and foremost, I want to say call halal Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai, man. You know, we got SICARRI DTX, we got SICARRI Houston, aka SICARRI Space City, man.
Right.
While you at it, hit the like, subscribe on SICARRI Space City. Right, they're coming out with them. They're coming out with pretty great videos, man. You know, they're doing their thing out there.
All praise to the Most High.
All praise to the Most High, man. We also got Kamad. So, Kamad, introduce yourself.
Kamad, DTX's war.
That's right.
That's what it is.
That's right. God damn it. But yeah, man, y'all see the title, right? We're basically doing a continuation on running through the Gospels. Matter of fact, I'm saying it again. Like y'all see the title. Jesus prayed for Israelite hegemony in the gospel, right? What is hegemony? Let's look at it. Matter of fact, go Google that for me since you're here. Let's look up the word hegemony. Right. Let's see what that means.
Hegemony, leadership or dominance, especially by one country or social group over others.
And that's what Christ prayed for, right? And not only did he pray for it, he wanted us to pray for it. We're going to get that in Matthew 6, but we left off last week in Matthew 5, so we're going to touch on that a little bit, and then we'll get to Matthew 6 and talk about this hegemony or this rulership that the Lord wants us to pray for, right? When I mean the Lord, I'm talking about the other one, Yahweh Shai, right? He gave us this prayer in Matthew chapter 6 that is so wonderful, right? So wonderful. It if you just read it, it just covers everything, right? Give us our daily bread, man. Hallowed be the Lord's name, right? Thy kingdom come, and that's the one precept we're gonna harp on. Thy kingdom come, right? That's what we should be praying for, because he said in like manner, pray ye like this. That's what he prayed for, and that's what he wants us to pray for. We're gonna get that in a minute. Let's get that Matthew 5. Don, you can get some precepts. I'm gonna let Kamad just run through the gospel real quick. Started Matthew 5, and where did we leave off on Matthew 5? And we finished the Beatitudes. Started verse 13.
13.
Yeah, start verse 13.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 13. Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men.
So it says, we are the salt of the earth. What does salt do to food? It makes it better, right? We make the world better through what? Our covenant, through our laws, through our statutes, and our commandments. The other nations will see that. As a matter of fact, while I'm loosely quoting it, Don Waller, can you get that in Deuteronomy 4? Right? The other nations are going to see our laws, statutes, and commandments, seeing us keeping them, and they're going to be like, dang, that's a wise and understanding people. These people understand the assignment, right? They understand how to build a culture. They understand how to love each other, and they have intricate instructions how to serve their own God. Right? Go ahead and give me that.
This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, and verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
That's our salt. When we keep these laws, statutes, commandments, when the other nations see us doing it, they're going to acknowledge us as a wise and understanding people. That's why they look at us now as a based and dark people, right? And what I mean by dark, people who sitting in evil. All we need to do is go back to walking in light how we were originally set forth to do. That's what sets us apart from the rest of the heathen. Like we're a holy nation. What makes us holy is the law, statutes, and commandments. What makes us set apart is the covenant which you made with our forefathers. That's our salt. But go back to that Matthew 5 and 13.
Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. And
when we don't keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, we're just like the Gentiles. We become, matter of fact, Don Walla, can you give me Romans chapter 2? Romans chapter 2. I didn't even write this down, but this is actually going with it. Romans 2 and 25.
It's the book of Romans chapter 2 and verse 25. For circumcision verily profits if you keep the law. But if you be a breaker of the law, your circumcision is made uncircumcision.
It's made uncircumcision. When you look at the Greek word right there, it means like a Gentile, somebody who hasn't extinguished the passions and lusts of this world. That's the heathen. They weren't giving anything to extinguish the passions and lusts of the world. They weren't given any type of wisdom whatsoever, but we have. So our law profits us if we keep it, right? But if we don't keep it, we become just like the Gentiles. We're that part where it says it's good for nothing. We're good for nothing. We're just like the rest of the Gentiles. You got something you want to say, Dan Waller?
Nah, not on that.
Okay. Go to verse 14.
Verse 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on an hill cannot be hid. We
are the light of the world. Dan Waller, can you give me Proverbs 6 and 23? We are the light of the world. A city that's set on a hill, right, cannot be hid, right? Just like how it said in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 4 through 5. Right, the other nations are going to see our law, statutes, commandments, and acknowledge us as a wise and understanding people. We're the ones giving forth this light, right? We're going to talk about that light a little bit later, because it's not what these Christians talk about. Is see, Christ is going to be a light to the Gentiles. Everybody can be saved. That's not what that's talking about, right? We're going to touch on that a little bit later. But this light that this is talking about in this context is that wisdom and understanding. So go ahead and get that for me.
So this is Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproof of instructions are the way of life.
The reproof of instructions are the way of life. The law is light. That's the light we walk in. That's the luminary that was given unto us. Like you see in Revelation chapter 12, I believe, verse 1, about that woman who was clothed in the sun and the moon. That's the law, statutes, and commandments. That's our light. We are that city set upon a hill, or at least supposed to be, right? Go back to Matthew chapter 5.
If I can, are you going to touch on Isaiah 2?
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, well,
I'll touch on it later.
Oh, yeah, we want me to save it for later?
Save it for later, man. Save it for later.
Okay, Con, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, verse 15. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and giveth light unto all that are in the house.
Go ahead.
Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven.
And that's going into us being a light to our people. Those of us who keep the law, statutes, and commandments, the practicing Israelites, we are being a light to our people. We've been illuminated through believing in Christ's death and actually truly being baptized and actually having a good conscience towards God through Christ's death. That's 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 21. That's us. Those people who've been illuminated. And after we've been illuminated, read that verse again. Verse 16.
Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven.
And that's why we're supposed to let our light shine. People need to see us keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. People, like I wear my fringes, right? I wear either the bullion ones or the tzitzits, right? I walk around with those, and people ask me about those and say, "Why do you do this?" Is it because I'm an Israelite? The Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are Israelites. You can slide somebody a flyer, slide them your YouTube channel, slide them a video. Well, it don't even got to be our video. Slide them a video. They find out who they are. Then they start glorifying the Father. That's how you let your light shine.
Con. You know, just to let me back on that. I know, you know, we went out one time and we had our fringes on, and we literally got stopped by like the security. Like, hey, you know, I recognize, you know, y'all and you know the little things on y'all shirt. What's that about? And then we ended up talking to that brother for over 2 hours, man, about the Bible.
That's how it works. That's how it works. You let your light so shine before men. A lot of people want to tuck their fringes in. A lot of people put fringes on Saturday. And that's it, man. You know, you got some people teach that's okay. You know, hey, man, that ain't gonna work with the rest of this chapter, but hey, if that's what you want to teach, brother. Right, go ahead in verse 17.
17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
He didn't come to destroy, but to fulfill. What did Christ come to this? Matter of fact, get that. You got another translation? What does CEV say?
Bro, check this out.
I want to see what it says. I'm just curious.
Matthew 5:17 in the CEV. It says, don't suppose I came to do away with the law and the prophets. I did not come to do away with them, but to give them their full meaning.
Oh, wow. To give them their, that's what it means by, is that in it?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Heaven and earth may disappear, but I promise you not even a period or comma will ever disappear from the law. Everything written in it must happen.
Yikes. Yeah, we're going to start bringing that out. We're going to start bringing that out on the streets. And it's funny. I always find it funny that Christians will say, they'll go to this verse and say that the law is done away with, but the very first sentence says, think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. He came to give them their meaning, just like Isaiah 53. Could you see? Oh, I just thought of a great point, bro. Give me
what you need.
You give me Acts 3:18. I'm gonna get him to
already. It's crazy. I already had it.
Get Acts 8.
That's 8.
Yeah, where it talks about the eunuch, the Ethiopian eunuch. It's 8. So I think it's somewhere in the 30s, either 20s or the 30s. You can read it.
This is book of Acts chapter 3 and verse 18. But those things which God before has showed by the mouth of all his prophets, that Christ should suffer, he have so fulfilled.
What's been written in the law and the prophets, Christ is fulfilled as far as suffering goes, as far as his suffering goes, like Isaiah 53, Daniel 9, XY, things like that. They'll look upon me whom they pierced and mourn for him like the only begotten, what is it, the only begotten son or something like that. Zechariah 12, I believe. Right? He fulfilled all those things through his suffering, through his death, burial, and resurrection. That's what he fulfilled. He didn't die so that now you don't have to keep the high holy days. But I've been in this Christian group, and they're doing like this 10 days proving that that Christmas isn't pagan. That in itself is hilarious to me. I said, where is this energy for God's high holy days? Because you believe that God's high holy days is done away with, but Christmas is not pagan. First of all, pagan is going to what the Gentiles do. If God didn't command it, then it's pagan. Let's just be honest. Like damn the rest of the 10 days. You're going to have to answer that. Like it's if God didn't command it himself, as far as his high holy days, that's coming from somebody else. Like, come on, bro.
And I had a precept on that Acts 3 real quick. So this is Luke chapter 24 and verse 44, red letter. And he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled which were written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the Psalms concerning me. Then opened he their understanding, that they might understand the scriptures, and said unto them, thus it is written, and thus it behooved Christ to suffer and to raise from the dead the third day.
And bro, that's crazy you read that, because that's about to go smooth into what we're going to read in Acts, because it talks about he opened up their understanding and basically to them to understand the things revolving around Christ, like all the prophecies, his death, burial, resurrection, the things, the Psalms that talks about him, the things in the prophets that talks about him. Watch this. Go to Acts chapter 8 verse start at verse 29. Yeah. Right. Just want to get to the point.
Acts chapter 8 and 29. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, go near and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, which is Isaiah. Go ahead. And said, understandest thou what thou readest? So
Philip ran up to this Ethiopian eunuch, right, which is an Israelite. and honestly, the passage that he's reading proves that he's an Israelite. But he ran up to him, caught up to him, and he heard him reading Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. And he asked him, do you understand what you read? Right? Now go to the next verse. 31. And he said, how can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. Go ahead. The place of the scripture which he read was this: he was led as a sheep to the slaughter. He was what? Led as a sheep to the slaughter. That's Isaiah 53. This is Philip breaking down Isaiah 53 and showing that it's Christ. Keep going. And like a lamb dumb before his shearer, so opened he not his mouth. Now jump to verse 35. 35. Then Philip opened his mouth and began at the same scripture
and preached unto him Jesus.
He literally broke down Isaiah 53 and showed that was Yahushua. Literally showed that was like Jesus or Yeshua, whatever you want to call him, right? Real name Yahushua. He broke it down and showed how he fulfills this. This is what Christ has fulfilled. He didn't fulfill thou shalt not kill. He didn't fulfill all these other things. That's just thinking about that just sounds dumb as hell to me. This is why you can't learn the Bible from Gentiles. And matter of fact, since I said that, Don Juan, can you give me one thing? I meant to read it. Read it. We started Romans 3:1 in NLT. We started every time we gonna do this type of class, we're gonna read that. I don't know why I forgot to do that. This is why you don't learn the Bible from Gentiles, because the doctrines don't make no sense because it wasn't given to them.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 3 and verse 1. What advantage then have the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because that unto them.
Hold up. You read that NLT?
No, you need an NLT?
Yeah, NLT. NLT.
Let me get it.
Love the NLT version. I don't know how I forgot to do this.
God, this is the book of Romans, chapter 3 and verse 1 in the NLT. Then what's the advantage of being a Jew? Is there any value in the ceremony of circumcision? Yes, there are great benefits. First of all, the Jews were entrusted with the whole revelation of God.
We were entrusted with the whole revelation of God, not the Gentiles. We were entrusted with that. That's why you don't learn the Bible from non-Israelites. That's why when a non-Israelite wants to get up and say, where's it at? This is where there it is. This is non-canon. When a white man, right, during the Protestant Reformation wants to say this is non-canonized, this is not breathed by God's this isn't God breathed, right? When we talk about that 400 years of silence, right? When they want to say it's not God breathed, who the hell are you to say that, right? Who the hell are you to say? My pocket's been beat up. Look at this. Look at this thing right here, bro. That thing is finished. But who are you to say that, right? You're not. If any, like, even if you want to believe salvation is for you and that you have the Holy Spirit, the Bible does not give you the authority to say that something is God breathed or not if you are not an Israelite. And if you even wanted to say that, we're going to go to 2nd Ezra, so you're going to have to explain why it talks about Christ. Because get Revelation 19:10. Then we will get back on topic. You go back to Matthew. You got something?
Go back.
Yeah, that's all we need. Next.
All right, this is book of Revelations, chapter 19 and verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see you do it not. I am your fellow servant and of your brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua. Worship God, for the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy.
The testimony of Christ is the spirit of prophecy. Bro, 2nd Ezra has so many prophecies about Christ. What about the one where it says within 400 years, for 400 years, it talks about those who are going to be with Christ? What about 2nd Ezra 2, where it literally gives you the same breakdown is Revelation chapter 7 about those clothes, like those clothes with the white robes and palms in their hands is the same exact thing in Revelation chapter 7. All those tests give you a testimony of Christ. If the testimony of Christ is the spirit of prophecy, that makes this book prophetic. That makes it what? God breathed.
Yeah. Doesn't 2nd Ezra's name drop him too?
Yeah, matter of fact, get that, bro. You know what I said?
They name drop him.
It name drops him. Do we just pretend that doesn't? Like, what are we doing, bro? Is that 7? I think that's chapter 7.
Let me see.
It's not 2. Let's see.
Yeah, 7 and 28.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 7 and verse 28. For my son Jesus shall be revealed with those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years.
Within 400 years, right? Now, anybody can Google this, right? Ezra lived 400 years before Christ.
Hey, Salaki, let me read this next verse.
What's
Verse
up?
29. After these years shall my son Christ die, and all men that have life.
Okay, so how do you explain that? So Ezra just gave a lucky guess. That's wild, right? And that's why when they say something stupid like it's not God breathed, we're gonna go in this book and you're gonna have problems, right? You're gonna immediately have problems. Your stomach is gonna start hurting, right? Because you know it's no, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go. You're just gonna have problems, right? But let's go back to Matthew. That's just a quick cut, swinging on the damn Christian church, man. Go back to Matthew.
Matthew 5:19.
Mm-hmm.
Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven.
And I like stop right. Just if Matthew 5 verse 17 says Christ fulfilled the law, we don't have to do it anymore. Why 2 verses later he says verbatim, whosoever shall break one of the least commandments, the smallest ones, and shall teach men so, shall be least in the kingdom of heaven. Why does he say that? Like, y'all spend every day making videos about how we're so evil and wicked, making videos about how we don't know the Bible. I found a new video about me today, actually, right? Making videos about how we're so wicked. But when we read something like this, it's completely contrary to what you say.
Facts.
Y'all are antichrist. I'm just gonna be honest. If you believe the law is done away with, you don't have to keep the high holy days, but you can somehow keep Christmas. You're on a crusade for Christmas, but you don't got to keep none of the whole high holy days, but you can keep Christmas, right? You believe you can eat pork. Remember Donovan? He said, "I eat in God." I eat pork. I said, bro, the Lord's gonna kill you, bro. You know, it talks about a speedy riddance of the people. The Lord's gonna make a speedy riddance of Donovan, right? And his friend, what's his name?
I don't know. You talking about his Edomite friend?
Edomite friend. I forgot his name. I know he still watches channel.
Call him Jabroni, man. He's a
Jabroni, man. Yes, goddamn, you're gonna make a speedy riddance of both of them, right? Go ahead.
Verse 20. For I say unto you, slightly. Go back to 19. But whoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Mm-hmm. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven.
And that's like that. Christ gave you a two manifold cut right there. He says the first part, for I say unto you, except your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. That means you have to keep the law, because you see in Matthew, get Matthew 23. You see in Matthew 23, Christ's problem with the Pharisees is that they teach the law and don't keep it. That's why Matthew 7 exists. Judge not lest you be judged, because whatever measure you meet somebody, it's going to be met back to you. He's talking about hypocrisy. That's what he's talking about. Go ahead.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 23 and verse 2, red letter, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not you after their works, for they say and do not.
They say and do not. So how does your righteousness exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees? By keeping the law. And when a Christian wants to tell you something stupid, like in Romans, they want to use Romans 10, where it talks about, Christ is the end of righteousness according to the law. Well, if we're gonna read it like how y'all do, what does this mean then? Because it says your righteousness exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees. This is before Judgment Day. So if this is before Judgment Day, we still haven't seen Judgment Day, right? we still haven't seen that. That means you keeping the law, statutes, and commandments is still part of your righteousness. We're not excluding Christ. We're not excluding faith, but a part of your righteousness is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. And if you disagree, you have to disagree with Christ.
Yep. You're
going to use Paul to disagree with Christ, and we can't do that. Christ is the Messiah. So that means you either you either don't understand what Paul is talking about, or you don't understand what Christ. Matter of fact, three things: you don't understand what Paul's talking about, you don't understand what Christ's talking about, or you don't know what anybody's talking about. That's it. And a lot of Christians, it'd be the last one. You don't know what anybody's talking about, bro. Why? Right? Jump the.
I got a quick precept on that Matthew. So this is Luke chapter 16 and verse 17 in the ESV. But it is easy, red letter. It is easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for one dot of the law to become void.
Oh man. Oh my God. I love that one. Every time I have you on the channel, you always bring that one. I always forget where it's said, and you always remind me of it. It's wait, hold up. Barakatah, Sister Zion, right? For your continuous support to the channel. Barakatah, man. Ahabatha, right? But the water for that precept, bro. Read it one more time.
This is Luke chapter 16 and verse 17 in the ESV, red letter. But it is easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for one dot of the law to become void.
It's easier for heaven to pass away. You gotta think about that. Heaven, like things. It's really the skies. It could be the skies. It could be freaking the third heavens. It'd be easy for those things to pass away before the law, for the law to pass away, right? And you know those things are never going to pass away ever, right? So even honestly, even when you see in the get Hebrews 8:8 real quick. When you see in the New Testament, the law, statutes, and commandments are still in place. Matter of fact, hold it down. Get that in the CEV. Let's see what that says in the CEV.
Hebrews 8:8.
Yeah, let's see what that says. I like this new translation you just found. I'm very curious about what it says. Hopefully they don't start lying, because the NLT, I love the NLT, but the NLT be lying sometimes, bro. It's like it does not say that.
Yeah, I've been looking at this BBE version that Chief mentioned, man. It's just
the BBL version.
The BBE. the Bible Basic English.
God, basic English version. Yeah, I need to see that one too.
Yeah, that one's good.
8 in the CEV. But the Lord found fault with it and said, I tell you, the time will come when I will make a new agreement with the people of Israel and the people of Judah. It won't be like the agreement I made with your ancestors when I took them by the hand and led them out of Egypt. They broke their agreement with me, and I stopped caring about it.
Yeah, I don't like that one. Read it, KJV. Don't want to get that in KJV.
God, this is the book of Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 8. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, said the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah.
The house of Israel and the house of Judah. That's so the new covenant is specifically for Israelites. Go ahead.
Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers.
And that right, hold on real quick. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, right? So this is showing you that this is talking about bloodline Israelites, because a Christian will say we backed the Christian into the corner before about the new covenant, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm a spiritual Israelite," but it right there says not according to the covenant I made with their fathers. When he did what? Read again.
Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continue not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, said the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts.
He's going to put the laws into our mind and write them in our hearts. So if the law is done away with, why are they being written into your mind?
Yep.
Why are they being downloaded into your mind? Oh, I know, so that you can keep them and walk in them. That's when you see Ezekiel 37, Ezekiel 36. In the kingdom, we're going to be keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. In the land, people are going to be keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Just like how you want to quote Isaiah chapter 2, people are going to come to Jerusalem to hear the law, statutes, and commandments. Now, in Zechariah 14, the heathen have to come to Jerusalem and celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. That's in the law, statutes, and commandments. How is the law done away with? But they have to. But this one law, right? This one random feast day they just have to keep. But the rest of the law is done away with. That don't make no sense.
No moons and Sabbaths.
No, say what?
And they're gonna have to keep new moons and Sabbaths too.
New moons and Sabbaths, right? Hell, matter of fact, what is Isaiah 56 talking about then? When they take hold of it, what covenant they taking hold of? Because both of them have the law in it. Both of them have what they want to say, the law of Moses or the law of God. They both have that in there. And it says to keep it, get Isaiah 56. Just the point where it talks about the Sabbaths. It must be great to just remix the Bible and have nobody question it at all. But when we come out just reading it, it's a problem. It must be great. It must be wonderful. Yes, I think it's 56 and 4. Yeah, it's 56 and 4.
And 4. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in 59. Hold on. Here it is. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 56 and verse 4. For thus said the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths and choose the things that please me and take hold of my covenant.
So if keeping the Sabbath please the Lord, how are they done away with? Don't you want to please? Isn't your if you're supposed to be if your ultimate goal is to be this perfect Christian or just a Christian in general, right? You would want to do things that please the Lord, correct? This is a future prophecy. Isaiah 56 is a future prophecy when we have the temple, the third temple, that's going to be built. Not because your Christians believe there ain't going to be no temple. Most Christians believe there isn't going to be a temple, right? But this is showing you there will be one. But this is a future prophecy. We have the temple, and the sacrifices are going to be made. And these heathen are going to keep these Sabbaths. And when they do that, it's going to please the Lord. So how can the law be done away with if keeping the Sabbath pleases the Lord? Wouldn't you want to please the Lord? As a Christian, don't you want to please the Lord? So, and if you relent on the Sabbath, you're going to have to now relent to the rest of the commandments. And they don't want to do that. You give a little bit, you're going to have to give a whole lot. You're going to have to give a whole lot, especially when you press them about tithes, right? I'm just going to be real brief about this. You press them about tithes. Tithes is the Old Testament law, right? That like how you're saying the law is done away with, and none of them are carrying over into the New Testament except love thy neighbor. Why is tithes carrying over?
Facts.
Like that. What are we doing? Like, and once you back them into that corner, now all the rest of it's on the table. That's like, see, y'all open yourselves up. Y'all open yourselves up to get your jaw knocked off if you want to try to carry tithes into what you call the New Testament. Because as soon as you do that, why is that the only one moving over? Why? Well, I'm gonna get back to you on that. Chris' best one. I'll get back to you on that, man. Oh, he wasn't prepared. Okay, I got you. I got you. Go ahead and get that in Matthew 27.
5:27.
Yeah.
Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery.
Mm-hmm.
But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. So
what Christ is teaching you, there's a spirituality behind the law, right? It starts within your mind. Once you start like when you see murder, right? What the precursor to murder is you having hatred towards your brother in your heart already. That's what starts that. Oh, I start hating this guy. So now I'm starting to contemplate how I'm gonna do this dude, how I'm gonna catch him up, right? It's the same thing with the rest of the sins, just like adultery that Christ is talking about right here. Now, the way Christians break that down, Dawan, can you give me Leviticus 20? You know, I want Leviticus 20 about adultery.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I'm right
there. So the way Christians will break this down is, oh, you looked upon this woman, you've committed adultery, right? But y'all saying that shows you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what the law says. You have a fundamental misunderstanding of Christ. You have a fundamental misunderstanding of the Bible just in general. If you say looking upon a woman is committing adultery, you don't know what adultery is. Let's be honest. You do not know what adultery is. Go ahead and get that in Leviticus 20.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
That's what adultery is. You taking another man's wife, or if you are a woman, you having sex with another man who isn't your husband. That's what adultery is. So going back to that, go read Matthew 5 again. Was that 5? Yeah, go ahead.
Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery.
That's what we just read in Leviticus 20. Keep going.
But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
So what he's saying is, when you look upon your neighbor's wife and want her, right? That's how the sin starts. You have to think about wanting to take her, and then what follows, what gets conceived after that lust, like it says in James, sin unto what? Death. That's what Christ is telling you. That's why when you read, keep going into that passage, I think 29 and 30. We can just read 29 because he's going to repeat himself in 30.
29. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. No,
Christ isn't saying dig your eyeball out. He's what do eyes do? They're used to see things. Just go into the way you see things. Change how you see things. Give me Colossians, give me Colossians 3, verse 5. Change the way you see things. Change the way your mind works. Instead of just looking at every woman trying to eye hump her, right? I gotta choose my words correctly for YouTube algorithm purposes, right? Instead of trying to eye rape her, right? I didn't see that. I did it again. Right? Doing things like that, right? That starts to conceive lust into your mind, and at the end of that lust, that wicked lust and that want, it conceives adultery. So change the way you see, change the way you look at life, change the way you see life, right? Get that in Colossians chapter 3, verse 5.
This book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanliness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry.
All those things, like unordinate affections, fornications. Fornication is an unlawful sex act. Adultery is an unlawful sex act. You have to mortify that from yourself. Mortify means to kill. You got to kill that off. You got to kill your old way off of looking at life and moving off of what you see and how you feel. That's what Christ is teaching you right here in Matthew chapter 5. All right. You got anything you want to say? You go to 43.
I was just gonna say, like point in case, man, you can look at King David and Bathsheba. You know, if he had these teachings of Christ, he would have never committed adultery with her, because he would have known, oh, hey, that's somebody's wife. I can't look at her like that, you know, because it doesn't make sense. If I can't look at a woman, you know, and desire her, how I'm gonna have a wife? You can't have a wife. You gotta find her attractive first.
I have to. Could you imagine trying to rationalize? Do you have a woman? So I can't look at you and want you because, man, I'm gonna be committing adultery.
I'm committing adultery, even though you're single. You could be a virgin.
That's so wild, bro. People get to run away with that. They get to do stuff like that, but let us say anything. Like it just sounds like homosexuality, man. Just being honest. Right, go to verse 43. Because I'm trying to skip. We gotta get through Matthew 5 because these chapters is pretty big, right? I'm just hitting the points where people got all the misconceptions at.
43. Ye have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you.
So this part right here, this passage is one of the most abused passages by raccoon Christians, bro. What did Deacon be saying? From Raccoon County. This is one of the most abused verses, bro, just to hold up white supremacy. Because it says, do good to those that curse you. The way Christians will break it down, that see, this verse right here says you can't be mad at me for enslaving you at any point. You have to just accept it. That's white supremacy. The way you break that down is literally white supremacy. Because y'all abuse what Christ is talking about. Start at verse 43 again.
43.
Donwalla, you give me Leviticus 19.
Ye have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy.
No, stop right there. It says, thou shalt love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor is a Torah law. That's Leviticus chapter 19. Right? What did Judy say? It's sick. It is sick. That's very sick. To say we gotta now love the person who's enslaving us, and we have to. You're telling Christ, you're making Christ a white supremacist, because us doing that holds up white supremacy. That's evil as hell, right? So it's that you've heard of old times to love thy neighbor. Can you give me that in Leviticus 19?
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 17. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall in anywise rebuke your neighbor and not suffer sin upon him.
What?
You shall not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of your people.
The children of who?
The children of your people.
Mm-hmm.
But you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord.
Get that in the NLT real fast, because it makes it so clear. Right? We have our neighbor, our brother is the children of our people. This is what Christ is talking about right here. He talks about loving your and the part where it said not holding grudges against your neighbor, that's going into loving your enemy. That's going into the people who persecute you, going to the people who curse you. That's what Christ is talking about right there. We're going to get that in a little bit later. But read that in NLT because it makes it so clear.
I'll just Leviticus 19:18. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against a fellow Israelite, but love your neighbor as yourself.
Love your neighbor as yourself, right? Don't seek revenge and do all this against a fellow Israelite. That's against Torah laws. This is what Christ is quoting when he says, "You have heard of old time." And honestly, when we show it in adultery and loving thy neighbor, and freaking being the salt of the earth, and in Matthew chapter 5 verse 17, where he said, "Come not to destroy the law of the prophets." This whole chapter shows you have to understand the Torah to understand what Christ is talking about fully. You have to. You can't just start at Matthew and just read the Bible after that. You can't just start the Gospels and just read the Bible like that and understand it. Christ is quoting the Torah. He's quoting the beginning of the book. So you can't just start here. Let's just do it. Let me see. Let me do this right here. The tab. You can't just start right here and think you know the Bible. Like that. That's not how that works, right? And then on top of that, Hebrews talks about a covenant the covenant doesn't have any force until the testator is dead. In Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Christ is alive. So even that type of understanding doesn't even work. It doesn't even work, right? But going back to my original point, you have to understand Torah laws. You have to understand the instruction of Torah. You have to understand the instructions and the teachings of God to understand what Christ is talking about. So he says to love thy neighbor, right? That's a fellow Israelite. That's not talking about a European. That's not talking about damn Moabites, Chinamans, freaking all these other nations, the Goy. It's not talking about that. We have to love our people. And it's crazy that people look at us. Matter of fact, I think the second most viewed short that I have on this channel is when I gave this exact breakdown. And you see nothing but Caucasians coming at me sideways, bro. Coming saying what I'm saying is evil. We're just a racist cult. When I just actually read verbatim what Christ said and read the law that he was quoting. And it's crazy that Christians will come at us for saying things like that, because that's the one thing we don't do as a people. We love everybody else except our own people. We don't apply love to thy neighbor. As much as we talk to people on the streets who want to say we gotta love thy neighbor and bless those that accuse us, y'all don't do that to y'all's own people. They don't. They can name off the top of their head 5 people they hate right now, and I bet 3 of them is in their family. I can bet 3 of them is in their family, and they'll try to use this against us when we say we have to love our people. That's crazy to me, right? And y'all, the way y'all make Christ a white supremacist is absolutely wild, right? Can you give me give me 1 Samuel 24 and 17. Because you brought up David earlier. We're gonna show you an example of loving your enemy. Can you give me Exodus? We're coming back to Matthew, but give me Exodus 23 to show you how an enemy can be of your own people. Really, both of these are going to show that.
Is that 1 Samuel 24?
1 Samuel 24, starting at, I think it's 16 is the point. 16 is the start. 17 might be the point. You mean Exodus 23 and 4. I want you to.
All right, Exodus 23 and 4. If thou meet thine enemy's ox or his ass going astray, thou shalt surely bring it back to him.
Mhm.
If thou see the ass of him that hated thee lying under his burden, and wouldest forbear to help him, thou shalt surely help him with it.
Now check this out, right? The law says if you see your enemy's ass or you see any of his livestock going astray, you have to surely go help this man. You know why it says something like this? Because this is going right back to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. The reason why you wouldn't help him is because you're holding a grudge. Think about it. The reason why you wouldn't help your enemy right here in Exodus chapter 23 is because you're holding a grudge of a past matter. You see that? You see how that works? That's how we know the enemy that it's talking about we're supposed to love is of our people. And we see examples of that in Israelite history. You can get that in 1 Samuel now.
This is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 24 and verse 16. And it came to pass when David had made an end of speaking these words unto Saul, that Saul said, Is this your voice, my son David? And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. And he said to David, You are more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me good, whereas I have rewarded you evil.
He's the what?
Where have you rewarded me good, whereas I have rewarded you evil?
David has rewarded Saul good while Saul was trying to kill him. In the midst of this, the Lord put David in a position to where he had the ability to kill Saul this whole time, multiple times, right? Yep. And he showed him that he could have done it, but he didn't do it. That's why he said, You're more righteous than me, because I'm the one trying to kill you. And in the midst of me trying to kill you, you're not even attempting to do that to me, because you're saying, Touch not mine anointed. He's like, that's crazy. Like, this is where you see the precursors to loving your enemy. You see David having it says David has the heart of God? What is it? A man like unto himself. What is that? What is that verse? How do I forget that?
He's after God's own heart.
Yeah, a man after God's own heart.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? And he's showing. Matter of fact, keep going in that. I think it goes all the way to verse 19.
Come on, this is verse 18. And you have showed this day how that you have dealt well with me. Mm-hmm. For as much as when the Lord had delivered me unto your hand, you killed me not. Mm-hmm. For if a man found his enemy, will he let him go well away? Wherefore the Lord rewarded you good for that you have done unto me this day.
And then what? He got the kingdom. He got the kingdom. It was passed up to him, right? I was like shortly after that. So he showed. It literally says it name drops enemy right there, right? And that enemy that he was talking about right there is talking about himself, which is also another Israelite, showing you an enemy can be a fellow Israelite, which gives more credence to our breakdown and our understanding of Leviticus chapter 19 and Matthew chapter 5, verse 20, verse, what was that? When we read Matthew 5? 43, right? That's what he's talking about. So this isn't talking about a heathen. Stop using Christ's words to freaking hold up and prop up white supremacy. Like it just doesn't work. And that will make Christ a mega hypocrite, right? Give me Isaiah 63 and 1 through 3, and you give me Revelation chapter 19, verse 11. That would make Christ a hypocrite, because Christ is coming back to kill Edomites. Like, and that's not even me being wild. That's not me just being this evil, violent Hebrew is like it says it, right? And it gives you a parallel prophecy in the New Testament and what they call the Old Testament. Go ahead and get that.
So like before I get that, like just to showcase, because they also try to use Paul to say how you got to love your enemies. But 1 Samuel, what we just read in chapter 24, is a perfect example of heaping those coals of fires on your enemy's head when you do well to them. So this Romans chapter 12 and verse 20, therefore if your enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in doing so, you shall heap coals of fire on his head. The same way David did to Saul. And Saul, he wept, man, because he's like, man, you could have killed me. I'm your enemy, but you let me go, So it just goes into your point, how the enemies of our people is those who we have to treat well, because that's gonna mess with their mind, man.
It's gonna mess with
their mind.
Mess them up, real. Like that's wild. But give me that in Revelations 19.
Revelation 19:11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war.
Mm-hmm. What?
His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God.
He was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of God. Who's the Word of God? That's Yahweh Shai Mashiach. But he was filled with a vesture dipped in blood. This is a parallel prophecy. Matter of fact, keep going all the way to 15.
And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations.
Mm-hmm.
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God.
So he's being used as an instrument of the Lord's vengeance on the nations. The Lord has vengeance against the nations because they had a conspiracy against his own people. Right? So that makes them enemies to the Lord by conspiring against his own people, like you see in Psalm chapter 83. That's damn near all the nations. If not all the nations, right? So they're all enemies to the Lord, and he's being used as a mechanism to destroy them. Why, if we're supposed to love our enemies, and that means the other nations, why is Christ coming back to judge these nations for what they've done to us specifically? That's hypocritical. That makes your God and your Messiah a hypocrite. And this prophecy that's happening right here is a parallel to Isaiah 63. You can get Isaiah 63 now.
This book of Isaiah chapter 63. You want to start from the top?
Yeah.
In verse 1, who is this that comes from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, travailing in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore are you?
Hold on, rest. Mm-hmm. Those it says, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Talking about who's the Savior? Yahweh Shai. Even going, his name is He is salvation. He saves. Right. This is Yahweh Shai. Just like how we read in Romans chapter not Romans, Revelation chapter 19. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Wherefore are you red in your apparel, and your garments like him that treads in the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. Mm-hmm. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment.
He's going to stain all his raiment. And why is he staining his raiment? Because he's destroying the Edomites. If the Edomites is the chief people who hates us. Hold that. We're going to read. Matter of fact, read that verse. Mm-hmm. I want you to give me Ezekiel 35, verse 5. Go ahead, Noah.
Verse 4, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come.
Vengeance is in his heart. If we understand Matthew chapter 5, where it talks about love thy enemies, and we understand it like how you understand it, there shouldn't be any vengeance. There shouldn't be. But why is Christ, Yahushua, or Jesus getting vengeance? Again, a vengeance for his people against the Edomites. I thought we're supposed to love the Edomites. That doesn't make sense. You're making Christ out to be a hypocrite. And then it's easy to do things like that when you don't read the whole Bible. When you just isolate verses and not when you isolate verses and use eisegesis, like how y'all say they like to use that term, eisegesis, like they say we do that, right? When you do that, it makes your God, it makes your Messiah freaking a hypocrite, a massive hypocrite. Because go ahead and get that.
All right, it's Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred.
Start one, so we get the context.
1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir.
Stop right there. Set thy face against Mount Seir. Now you can jump to 5, but set thy face against Mount Seir. So the Lord is telling Ezekiel to prophesy against Edom. Right? Go ahead.
Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, mm-hmm. in the time that their iniquity had an end.
Go ahead.
Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
Blood shall pursue. That's the Lord literally saying, I'm about to get vengeance. I'm going to give, since you decided to kill the Israelites, since you decided to rule over them, set your damn come over here, right? Pretend like you was cool with the Native Americans and the ancient Hispanics, right? Kill them, ruled over them. Go over here, create something called the Triangle Slave Trade. Go to West Africa to bring them over here to Babylon the Great. Continue to rule over them for damn centuries and have nothing happen to you, and then convince them to now love you. Now I'm going to send my son, who's angry for that, to come see you. That's him getting vengeance. But I thought we're supposed to love our enemies. If enemies is everybody. Yep. You believe in a hypocritical God and a hypocritical Messiah. That's all that boils down to. Right? You got something you want to say real quick?
You remember when I told you about the BBE?
Yeah, what that say?
Yeah, I just want to read this real quick. This is Isaiah 63. I just start from verse 2. Why is your clothes red, and why are your robes like those of one who is crushing the grapes? I have been crushing the grapes by myself, and of the people there was no man with me. In my wrath and in my passion they were crushed under my feet, and my robes are marked with their lifeblood, and my clothing is red.
Yo.
For the day of punishment is in my heart, and the year of the payment of the price for my people have come.
Yeah. Yo, is that in the blue letter?
Yeah.
We're gonna start using that.
Then it reads, and I saw that there was no helper, and I was wondering that no one gave them support. So my arm did the work of salvation, and my wrath my support, and in my passion the people were crushed under my feet and broken in my wrath, and I put down their strength unto the earth.
Yikes. They fell from heaven. That's what that's going into. Yikes. We're gonna start bringing that out. I had no idea about this translation.
Yeah, I just started looking at it, man. I'm like, that's kind of some pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, we can start being like New York, man. New York be having all the translations, man. Shout out to New York.
All the translations.
Yeah, we're gonna start using that. But I want you to get down. I want to get 1 Kings 8 and 61. You get that in Matthew 5 and
48.
Yeah.
Matthew 5 and 48. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
Mm-hmm. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. In the same manner. So how do we receive this perfection? Because the Christians say you can't be perfect. You read this. Christ says to be perfect. How do you make yourself perfect? How do you become perfect? Because perfect right here means whole and complete. What makes you whole and complete? Bring that verse out.
It's the book of 1 Kings chapter 8 and verse 61. Let your heart therefore be perfect with the Lord our God, to walk in his statutes and to keep his commandments as at this day.
As at this day. That's how you make your mind perfect. You see in Isaiah, it talks about these laws, statutes, commandments to be the stability of our time. Right? What you got? Psalms? Go ahead. We're going to get that.
It's Psalms 19 and 7. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. Mm-hmm. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple.
Making wise the simple. That's how you make yourself perfect. That's how you grow in your age, getting the fundamentals down. You know what when you look at sports, you know what are the best players out there? The best people who either do it the longest or who are just great at whatever sport they play, football, basketball. You know they're fundamentally sound. Like Tom Brady. Tom Brady had no athleticism whatsoever, but stayed in the league that long. You know why? Because he was fundamentally sound. Like you have people like freaking LeBron James, fundamentally sound. All these people are fundamentally sound, and it all it brings for is longevity and to be masters of your craft. You talking about big fundamentals? Yeah. But yeah, man, you gotta get the fundamentals down. That's how you be perfect. Well, let's go to Matthew 6. You see, if we broke that whole damn chapter down, we never would have got to Matthew 6.
Nope.
Never. Go ahead.
Matthew 6:1. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men, to be seen of them. Otherwise, ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven.
No, this verse really gives you the precedent of what Christ is about to be talking about in Matthew chapter 6, of doing things to be seen of men. Like you're not doing it because I want to worship the Lord in truth and spirit and sincerity. You're doing it to be seen as righteous. You want the admiration of men more than you want the admiration of God. You're using your religion as a vehicle to get your own admiration. Just like how you have women on social media who use social media and to get admiration to themselves. It's the same way, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't amount to anything. They don't have any reward. Read that again.
Take heed that ye do not your alms before men, to be seen of them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven.
You don't even get a reward of that in the world, right? But the Lord Himself is not going to give you any reward if you're not going to be seeking Him in truth and in sincerity, right? That's what the Pharisees' problem was in the first place. Because you see, now go back to Matthew 23.
Mm-hmm.
You give me Romans 2 and 28.
You want the same verse in Matthew 23?
Come
The book of Matthew, chapter 23, and verse 2, red letter, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore, whatsoever they bid you, observe, that observe and do.
Mm-hmm.
But do not you after their works, for they say and do not.
They see and do not. Skip to verse 5.
Verse 5, but all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
And love the upmost rooms at feast, and the chief seats in the synagogue, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi.
They look to be the holiest people, to appear like they're the most holiest people, to use the truth, to use their religion as a vehicle to get admiration, just like how people use social media as a vehicle to get likes and shares and things like that, like to get admirations of people, which doesn't amount to anything. Because really, they do it because they're empty. They want to be filled by something, and they use admiration of other people to fill themselves. But them themselves are crackpots, right? You know, you have a crackpot. You like say a vase. If you break a vase and try to glue it back together, water will always seek out because it's broken. And a lot of people who do this are broken. That's how a lot of people are. A lot of people are just broken, and they need to become a whole new vessel so they can retain wisdom and retain light and retain the spirit. That's what they need to be. So when you see people like this who are just doing things to be seen of men, they're just broken inside, and they need help. That's why Yahushua came in the first place, man. The whole need not a physician, but the sick. These people are sick. You keep going to Matthew. Oh, you got that right. Go ahead.
In Romans 2 and 28.
Mm-hmm.
For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly,
mm-hmm.
neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart.
And circumcision is that of the heart, because you want to serve the Lord, right? A Jew, like it's talking about a Jew, but it's really talking about an Israelite. What makes us, like I said this earlier, what separates us from the heathen is that we have laws, statutes, commandments, and a covenant, right? That's given unto us. That's our culture. That's our understanding. That's the way we should be looking at life. If we don't keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, we're just like the heathen, like we read in Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, just like them. And being an actual Israelite, wanting to fulfill his purpose, is you serving the Father in truth and sincerity in the spirit, not just doing things to be seen of men. There's more on that in Romans 2.
In the spirit and not in the letter,
mm-hmm.
whose praise is not of men.
Not of what?
Not of men.
Not of men, but what?
But of God.
But of God. You're not seeking the admiration of men. You're seeking the admiration of the Father. That's why you do this. A real Jew, you talking about, like, they say a real nigga, man. A real nigga, right? A real nigga is gonna read the words of God, keep those, and then lead more people to him, and not just put fringes on, put a beard on their face to just think that they just to have it as a fad. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of people in this truth, like a lot of people in this truth, are just doing this for a fashion statement. Especially a lot of women. And that's not even me just coming to women. I've been in this thing for 7 years. I've seen women go from modest. I've seen women go from modest to crystals to now they're on here with no clothes on social media. And I've seen men go from practicing Israelites to niggas to prison. Right? I've seen all of it, bro.
I got a precept on that. Same chapter, Matthew 23 and verse 28, red letter. Even so, you also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity.
A lot of people just full of hypocrisy and iniquity, right? Because they're broken. Because we can't we can say that they're evil and wicked for doing that, but the reason why they're like that is because they're broken. A lot of people are just broken, and the first step of changing that is to acknowledge it. Yep. And a lot of people don't want to acknowledge it because it requires a lot of work to get out of it. That's why people are like present themselves to be righteous, but inwardly are wicked because they don't want to realize that they're a broken vessel and they need to become a new vessel, right? Because what did Christ say? He said, "You don't put new wine into old bottles; let it burst." Right? You got to have a new bottle for that new wine. These people need that new bottle. They need to be reinvented through Christ's death and truly be baptized. What do you got?
Say in that verse, basically, Christ ain't full of shit. Right?
Not. And we got one verse in the Matthew 6. We got one verse in the Matthew 6. Go ahead, keep going.
Matthew 6:2. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly.
Let's just make it plain. Like, don't just be out here trying to show everybody, I gave this much to the church, I gave this much in alms. No, just do it. Just do it because just do it because the Lord said to do it, bro.
That's right. Do
it because you actually love your people. Don't be like how the hypocrites. These people just do. Because I remember that, bro. I remember in church, my nigga. That collection plate come around, and it's up to you. But everybody's looking at you. Everybody is looking at you. When you pass that thing, it's all looking.
And you look in and you see the bills in the plate.
Yeah, you see the bills in the plate. And I remember in my old church, they used to have it to where you can write, like you put it on the envelope, you write the amount and stuff. Like people writing it big and all that stuff. It's like, what are you doing up that for, bro? Just and they really just give it to nothing, to be honest. They give it to nothing. Pastor rolled around in a Rolls Royce. Y'all come up there with a freaking Toyota Camry 2001.
Whole family riding around
Mercedes, man. Wow. But what Christ is saying is just don't be like how the hypocrites are. They just want to show themselves to be righteous, but inwardly are wicked. Go ahead.
Matthew 6:5. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward.
Now, how many Christian channels we done seen where they be out there, oh, let me pray for you. Even when we go out there on the streets, they say, oh, can we pray for y'all real quick? I said, no, we're not about to pray on the streets. We're not about to be like how the hypocrites are. Christ called those people hypocrites. They're just doing it to be seen of men. Why do that? Why? They just get up there and just do whatever they want to do. They get up there and literally do whatever they want to do, bro. I remember bringing this out to a Christian. That's not what Christ meant, right?
I used to be Pentecostal, man.
Well,
they would literally sit up there for hours, quote unquote, praying in tongues, man. Hands up, running around like it's a show. It's all a show, man.
I've been to a Pentecostal church one time. Them niggas be in there trying to go Super Saiyan, bro. You talking about Super Saiyan God mode? This Mama say, Mama say, Mama.
Man, I can tell you stories. I can tell you stories.
And they're hypocrites, bro.
When I went to church, we had a lady who every Sunday,
Sunday,
she'd run around the church and fall on her face, and they had to put a towel over or something. She's
yeah, and that's somebody's grandma.
Yeah,
that's somebody's grandma. Oh man, it is.
So how is it genuine if we know you're about to do it?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, you about to do it.
You only do it here. You only do it here.
Only
here. It's the house of the Lord, Sonny. But yeah, oh yeah, Caesar Avila. I've heard about it. We're gonna get into it a little bit later because when we go into the kingdom part, it's gonna prove that he hasn't came yet. But where was we at?
Matthew 6.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Matthew 6:6. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly.
And that doesn't mean just go into a closet, literally, bro. That just don't let people see you praying. Don't just be doing it just to have people see you pray to give you this admiration. The thing you so holy. It's just that simple. Go ahead.
7. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things you have need of before you ask him.
Mm-hmm.
After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Stop right there. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. His name is holy. That's what it means. Hallowed is made holy. It's ritually pure. We have to keep it that way. Get Leviticus, Exodus 20, Exodus 27. Donwalla, you give me Psalms 9 and verse 16, right? Because I'm gonna say something I gotta explain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Lord's name, his character revolves around his name, and his name revolves around his character, right? The way we know about this power of this book, all the things that he does, all the ways that he moves, us even being Israelites is attributed to this power, to this God. His name is Yahweh, right? Everything about his character is revolved around his name. All of that. That's why it's a transgression for us to just casually throw it around like that, because it diminishes his character. Go ahead and read that.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 7. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain.
Now read that in the Amplified. Watch this. This what made me think about it like this when I read it in the Amplified. If you got the blue letter, you can do it in the blue letter. The blue letter just added the Amplified. Finally. This what made me think about it like this. What's up?
You're Exodus 20?
Yeah.
Okay, come.
No, you got it. Yeah. 7, go ahead.
You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, that is irreverently
yeah.
In false affirmations, or in ways that impugn the character of God.
The what part?
Impugn the character of God.
The character of God. His name's wrapped around his character, and the character is wrapped around his name. The way we know about this God is through what he does, his actions. Him just even his name just in general means he exists, the existing one. He is existence, right? His character is wrapped around his name, and vice versa. Read that verse in Psalms real quick, Donwalla.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 9 and verse 16. The Lord is known by the judgment which he executes.
He's known by the judgment which he executes. What he does. Like when you see all the firstborns and everything in damn Egypt get put to death, the Lord did it. When somebody gets killed in the city, the Lord did. Give me that in Amos real quick. Amos chapter 3 verse 6. The Lord did it. You give me Exodus 9 and 15. Go ahead.
This is Amos chapter 3 and verse 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it?
And who haven't done it?
and the Lord have not done it?
That's rhetorical because the Lord do it. Get that first Samuel chapter 2. Shall there be evil in the city? Have something terrible happened, and the Lord haven't done it? That's rhetorical because we know the Lord does. The Lord does all things. That's a part of his character. If he's existence, he controls all of existence. Get that in what else do you get?
Exodus 9:15.
We can get that in a minute. You get this first.
You want 1 Samuel 2 and what?
Started 2 and 6.
It's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 6. The Lord kills and maketh alive.
Mm-hmm.
He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up.
Mm-hmm.
He raises up the poor out of the dust and lifts up the beggar from the dunghill to set them among princes and
keep going.
And to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he have set the world upon them.
He has said, but if you just think about that whole passage, the Lord kills, the Lord makes alive. The Lord brings people low, the Lord brings people up. The Lord people exalts people to be kings. He brings people down from that point. The Lord, the pillars of the world is shaped by him. And it every time it says the Lord right there, it's his name.
Mm-hmm.
All those things is characteristics and attributes of what he does. That's why we shouldn't be casually throwing his name around like that, because that's how much power and sovereignty he has. Get that in Exodus.
Exodus 9:15.
Yeah, because this is when the heathen found out about this name. Go ahead.
For now I will stretch out mine hand, that I may smite thee and thy people with pestilence, and thou shalt be cut off from the earth. And in very deed, for this cause I have I raised thee up. So
hold on. The Lord raised up Pharaoh, right? Gave him power and authority. Go ahead.
For to show in thee my power.
To show in thee my power. Because the Egyptians knew the Lord through what? Judgment. And the rest of the heathen heard about what happened to Egypt and what power did that. That's when Yahweh's name was made manifest. That damn near all the people said, "Oh, that's the God. That's what that God does. I'm not going to mess with that God."
No smoke.
And the Philistines knew about this because they quoted it. They quoted it after they took the ark. After they took the ark and all the things started happening to their gods, they kept falling in the pestilences that happened to them. They referenced about how Israel was saved out of Egypt. They knew about this. So and that's the moment we're recounting right here in Exodus. The Lord raised up Pharaoh to where he can be destroyed, to where the Lord's power or Yahweh's power can be made manifest to everybody. This is what this God does. This is what what did it say? Al-Shaja, the great power, demon-like power God. This is made manifest to people. And Nicholas in the spirit. That's the next verse I was going to get.
Yeah, I got a precept too.
Okay. I'll read this real quick. Isaiah 45:7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahweh, do all these things. I, Yahweh, do all these things. You see that? That's why I said his name is wrapped up in his character. And his character is wrapped around his name. Though all these things we read in the Bible is done by who? This power. The only way we know this power is by this name. You got to think about how crazy that is, right? That's wild. Go ahead.
Wow. So this is the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 37. And when the king asked Heliodorus who might be a fit man to be sent yet once again to Jerusalem, he said, if you have an enemy or traitor, send him there, and you shall receive him well scourged, if he escapes with his life. For in that place, no doubt, there is a special power of God. For he has dwelt in heaven, has an eyes on that place and defends it, and he beateth and destroys them that come to hurt it. Showcasing how the heathen know our God, and the heathen know they know how the Most High get down, man.
God. You know, they find out about. That's why one of the first verses we read after Exodus 20 is the Lord is known through what? His judgments, which he executes. If you look at the usages for that word for judgment right there in the Hebrew, it's a multitude of different things. And the way we can break that down and rationalize that is what he does. Our God does things and y'all don't, bro. They're there worshiping damn fish god, praying to it, offering it, sacrificing. It don't do nothing. But our power literally does things, and to the point to where he made his name known through all these Gentiles.
Gone. Even in this passage right here, man, he sent angels on a horse to stomp an Edomite out, man. To stomp him out.
Get this preset. Get that in Judith real fast. You know, down while you get that. Judith.
Judith what?
Was that 5?
I believe.
No, it's Esther. It's Esther 10.
Esther?
I always get these confused. Esther 10. It
was in the additions?
Yeah, in the additions. Yeah, 10 and 9.
Here we go. It's the book of Esther, chapter 10 and verse 9. For my nation is this Israel, which cried to God and were saved. For the Lord have saved his people, and the Lord have delivered us from all those evils. And God have wrought signs and great wonders, which have not been done among the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore,
the signs and wonders that have not been done among the Gentiles. We see these. Our God does things y'all's don't. Mm-hmm. Like y'all's fake white Christ doesn't do anything, but ours Yahushua, what they call the Black Messiah, right? He is coming back to destroy people. This man gave prophecy. This man existed. This man came at the exact time that he was predestined to in the Holy Scriptures. Like our God does things y'all don't. Go ahead.
Verse 10, therefore have he made 2 lots, one for the people of God and another for all the Gentiles.
One for one lot, one position, one for the children of God and one for all the rest of the Gentiles. Keep going.
And these 2 lots came at the hour and time and day of judgment before God among all nations.
Mm-hmm. The day of judgment. Right? And what is that? Him saving his people and the rest of them getting screwed. Matter of fact, he says that in there, actually. I think so. Keep going. I think there's more on that.
Verse 12, so God remembered his people and justified his inheritance.
There it is. Justified his inheritance. Whose inheritance? Israel. Get Job 33, right? Going back into, because that was just a supporting precept of what you brought out earlier. But this is going back into his character. Go ahead.
Job 33 and 15. I'm sorry, 14?
It was 14 said. Yeah.
For Yahweh speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. Mm-hmm. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon the bed. Mm-hmm. Then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction.
He does what?
Sealeth their instruction.
He sealeth their instruction, right? When you were asleep at night, right? When you think you're having that good deep sleep, that REM sleep, or was that rapid eye movement sleep? That's when the Lord is sealing your instruction of how you are going to walk in that following day to fulfill his purpose. Matter of fact, I think it says it. Keep going.
Next verse. That he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man.
He's withdraw men from his purpose, but to do whose purpose? The Father's purpose. That's what's happening right there. Mm-hmm. We think we have thoughts of how our day is going to go and what we think we're going to do in this day, but the Lord, matter of fact, it says that it's in Proverbs. What does it say? A man deviseth a plan, but the Lord directeth his steps. You know what it said? You know what I said? Is that 16? Yeah, like that cuts free will. Yeah. Directly.
Me and Isaiah were talking about this the other day when we were in Atlanta. Chief was talking about free will, and he brought this out. He's like, when you go to sleep, that's when you get all his instructions downloaded into you, and then you wake up. But if, like, say, you don't get enough sleep, that cuts off all that instruction that you're supposed to get, right? So when you wake up, you're all drowsy, and you don't know what you're doing. It's because you didn't get that full download.
Damn. Oh, I missed that breakdown. I need that breakdown.
And when
Yeah,
Chiefs start giving breakdowns, it's crazy. Hey, you looking for man's goings?
Nah, this is the one I want. Proverbs 16:9. It says, "A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps." That's that instruction, right? What does the other translation say? We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. That's NLT. That's Amplified say. Man's mind plans his way as he journeys through life, but the Lord directs his steps and establishes them. Tough. Tough. Right? That's how it goes. That's his character. That's all wrapped up around his name, because this is Yahweh. That's why even at the end of I think it's Leviticus 11 where it talks about the dietary laws, he says what he says, and says, "I am Yahweh." He says what it is, because I am this power. You're going to listen to what I say, and if you don't, you're going to die. You know why? You know why we die? Because he's existence and he wills it that way. Yep. You don't want to follow me? Death. I control your life. Like that's why he does it. That's why we need to keep his name hallowed and not throw it around like that just casually, because this power controls everything we know, the way we think, nations. He determined the ages and length and times these nations are ruling. He does all this. He knows the number of the number of individual pieces of sand. It says that in Second Ezra, like, can you number the sand? Like that's the type of power. That's how power this God has.
The depths of the earth.
Depths of the earth. All that, bro.
Come on, man.
That's why we hallow his name. You can go back into the Matthew 6. Yeah, because we're gonna get to the crux of it. We hour and a half into it, we're gonna get to the crux of the matter, man.
Repeat 9. After this manner therefore pray ye, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
He said, he's saying, thy kingdom come. Christ wanted us. You give me Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. Christ wanted us to pray for his kingdom, to pray for the Lord's kingdom to be on earth, just like how it is in heaven. Now, the kingdom isn't specifically a place. Kingdom just means rulership and dominion, right? So we want the Lord's rulership and dominion. So let's see what Christ wants us to pray for. You listen, Daniel. Before you get that, Donwala, you get Micah chapter 4, verse 8. But go ahead.
Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom.
And so this is the kingdom. The God of heaven set up a kingdom. Christ wanted us to pray for his kingdom to come on earth. Go ahead.
Which shall never be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
It shall not be what?
Left to other people.
It shall not be left to other people. When you look at this, I forgot if this, because I know Daniel was different. I forgot if it was Hebrew or Aramaic. When you look at that, I gotta look that up again.
I think it's Aramaic.
I think it's Aramaic. When you look at that word right there for other people, it's literally nation. It won't be left to other nations. Because I remember if anybody saw the video I did with that one dude, when you think you know the Bible, like he tried to say that other people, it just means non-believers of Christ. But right here it says other people, it won't be left to other people. But that word for people right there is nation. Just like where he was stricken for our people, was he stricken? Like in Isaiah 53, same word. It means people. It means people group or nation or nationality. So it won't be left to other nationalities, right? Keep going. That matter of fact, read that again from the top.
And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
You want to read 45?
For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hand, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter.
So all the things it named is the statue. You see Daniel chapter 2. It's a parallel prophecy with Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7 talks about the 4 beasts. Right here, these are 4 things. Like that's what they're talking about. 4 things, like the gold. What is it named? What is it? The gold, the iron, brass, the clay, and the silver, and the gold. Right, all these things is parallel to the 4 beasts which you see in Daniel chapter 7. Right, so go to verse 30. Start at verse 30. I want to get to the point. Start at verse 33, right? Start at verse 33. Because before you do that, because you'll have somebody, I even had this before on the street, somebody will say this has happened already. The kingdom's already here, all which is wild to me, right? It was a preterist. I think that's what they believe. They believe everything's been fulfilled already.
Yeah.
The kingdom's already here. You can cut this really easy with this. Go ahead. Start at verse 33.
32.
Oh, 32, yeah.
This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, and his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Keep going.
Yeah.
Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands.
A stone was cut out without hands. A stone. Who is a stone? The cut out without hands? The only begotten Son. Look, not the hands of a human, right? Who created Mashiach Yahweh? And what was created after that? Everything else by Mashiach Yahweh. This is that stone cut without hands. He's also what? The cornerstone. And that's going to be important. That cornerstone, that's going to be important when we read. Are you on 35 right now?
34.
When we read the end of 35. Keep going.
Thou sawest till a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces.
Iron and clay. That part of iron and clay, that's the 10 toes, which is also synonymous with the 10 horns, right? That come out of what? The Roman Empire. The Roman Empire is the 4th beast which you see in Daniel chapter 4. So the 10 horns, or the 10 feet right here, there's the miry clay and the iron, right? That's NATO and EU. So NATO and EU, because that's like the Treaty of Rome, the 10 common markets that came together out of Rome, right? They have to be smoked. They have to be broken down and taken out of power. They're still in power right now. So the kingdom can't exist yet until they're taken out of power. So for somebody to be moronic to say that this has already happened, okay, then why is NATO and EU ruling right now? Why is any derivative of Rome existing right now? Because the kingdom can't exist while they're still in power. That doesn't make any. You don't know what you're talking about then. That's moronic. Keep going.
35. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that spoke the image became a great mountain.
Became a what?
A great mountain.
This stone became a great mountain, a big gigantic stone. What? The cornerstone that everybody builds off of, which is Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Keep going.
And filled the whole earth.
And filled what?
The whole earth.
And filled the whole earth. Because you know what happens when we get our kingdom and our dominion? Everybody's going to come to us. That's at Isaiah chapter 2. When that mountain of Israel, really that's Micah chapter 4 as well. But when we get established above all the rest of the mountains, everybody's going to come and flow into us to hear the laws, statutes, and commandments. And that starts with Hamashiach Yahweh, dismantling all the rest of these EU, dismantling the EU and all these European structures. So no, the kingdom isn't here yet. It happens after they've been brought out of power. You know, was that Revelation chapter 12? It talks about them falling from heaven. Heavens is rulerships. That's talking about the great red dragon. Who's the great red dragon? The revised Roman Empire. What comes out of the revised Roman Empire? The 10 horns or the 10 toes made out of miry clay and iron. We're living that right now. We're under their rulership to this day right now. So the kingdom has not been set up yet. You don't know the Bible. Go back to Daniel chapter 2, verse 44.
44.
Yes, sir.
And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed.
It shall never be destroyed. Let's see who's going to get that kingdom. You get Micah chapter 4, verse 8. Don Waller.
Con. You want it right now?
Yes, sir. Get Acts chapter 1, verse 6.
God, this is the book of Micah, chapter 4, and verse 8. And you, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto you shall it come, even the first dominion.
Even what?
Even the first dominion.
That's the rulership. That's the kingdom. The first dominion, that's the chief dominion, right? That's us being above everybody else. That's going to come to Zion. Who is Zion? Israel. Israel is that nation that's going to be ruling the world, be ruling the kingdom. This is the hegemony. This is the hegemony that Christ wanted us to pray for to come very soon. That's that. That's why you see in Acts chapter 1, Peter asking Christ this question. Read this.
Acts chapter 1, verse 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore the kingdom of Israel?
It's the story. What?
The kingdom of Israel.
The kingdom of Israel. Us having sovereignty and rulership. Peter knew this. He knew salvation wasn't for everybody. He knew the kingdom was that everybody was going to take part in the ruling power of the kingdom isn't for everybody. That's why right after Christ died in Acts chapter 1, are we about to be glorified now? Are we about to have this nation that's going to rule forever? Are we going to be set back in our rightful position, which all the prophets prophesied for? He knew this. So for y'all to fix y'all's mouth to say that, oh, Christ taught the apostles that salvation for everybody, or it changed after Christ's death. Why is Peter saying this then? Obviously, he would have to be heavily rebuked then. Oh no, that's for everybody. They could be fellow heirs, right? Misinterpreting what Paul is talking about, right? In Ephesians chapter 2. That's what y'all do, and it's crazy. The easiest way to destroy Christians' ideology is to go to the prophets. Go into the prophets and showing you how the apostles believe in what the prophets say. Just like in Acts where Paul says the way they call heresy is, so do I worship the God and follow the law, statutes, and commandments and believe in what the prophets say. Go to the prophets. Show a time period that goes past our time period and it goes past what Paul said. And show what that picture looks like. Because that picture that's getting painted by the Lord and the prophets and Daniel and Micah and Jeremiah and Isaiah is not what the Christians are painting. It's not. This egalitarian society has never existed and it never will. It just doesn't. Christ wanted us to pray for our hegemony above everybody. Don Juan, give me.
You want me to finish?
Is there more?
Yeah, it's more.
Were you in Micah chapter 8? Chapter was it 4 and 8?
Chapter 4 and 8. Mm-hmm.
God, go ahead.
The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem.
There it is. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. You see that? So this kingdom is going to be established for the kingdom of God, right? The kingdom of Yahweh's kingdom is going to be established. Israel is going to get this. It's coming to us. It's not coming to you at all. So when y'all try to use the Bible, it's like, how do y'all get away with this? The Lord has to have a strong delusion on people for people to accept your exegesis of the text. A strong delusion. Just like that one dude, the garden tube guy. You saw that live what you did? That you didn't see that live? You know what I'm talking about, Don Waller, with that dude who made a video again about Chief, that white dude.
Nah, I didn't see that.
I didn't see that live.
I didn't see that one.
That was cold, bro. He responded to this Edomite who makes a video. He made a video about me. He also made a video about Chief, and Chief responded to that video. Right? It's just like he's just cutting them so effortlessly, just like how we're doing with the understanding that we're given right now. It's like, how are y'all allowed to fix y'all's face to do this? How are y'all allowed to say and teach what y'all believe in? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That's why. Look at this. Malak Yawasab said this. That's why they have to say spiritual Israelites, because like when you read the prophecies, it don't work.
Yep.
Y'all have to now just try to sneak y'all's way into it. That's the only way. That's the only way for what y'all to believe in to even have any validity at all. It's wild. Now give me Daniel chapter 7. because this is gonna seal it. Daniel 7, verse 13. You give me Micah 4:1.
Con, this is book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
And that's another preterist cut. We haven't seen that. All eyes are going to see that. Revelation chapter 1, all eyes will see him, even those who pierced him. So everybody's going to see that. If I haven't seen that, this hasn't happened. If Don Wall hasn't seen it, or Kamad, or anybody, if anybody haven't seen that, this has not happened yet. But when it does happen, all dominion is going to be given to Christ. All the kingdoms of the world is going to be given to Christ to rule and reign over. And that same power and authority he's going to give to those. You give me Revelation chapter 2 real quick. That same power he's going to give to the children of Israel, the actual Christians. Revelations 2 verse 26. The one I always pull.
Revelation chapter 2 verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works until the end, to him will I give power over the nations.
Keep going.
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father.
Even as you received the Father. Your battery run low? You bring a charger? What kind of charger you got? Turn it around.
Like yours.
I may have that one. Actually, I may have that one. Let me see. Matter of fact, I think. Hold it. Select. Let me see. It says something real quick, don't
Con. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, man. Like when you read the scriptures, the kingdom goes to Israel, salvation goes to Israel. Everything that we see pertaining to salvation, pertaining to the kingdom of Christ, pertaining to the kingdom of God, it all goes back to Israel, man. It all goes back to Israelites. Like, I even go back to the law. All right, let me see. We go bread and butter, Deuteronomy 30. When we go to Deuteronomy 30, verse 7, and the Lord your God will put all these curses upon your enemies and on them that hate you and which persecute you. So how is other nations getting the kingdom if they have curses coming their way? Like, it just doesn't make sense, man. It makes no earthly sense and no earthly idea. And what the brother was about to pull up in Revelations chapter 2, what's this? I'll start from 26. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 26. And he that overcomes and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. And that's Christ speaking, man. That's Christ speaking. So how can the kingdom of God be for everyone when Christ is given the power to those who keeps his works until the end to break the nations down, like we just seen in Daniel chapter 2? It just doesn't jive with the Christian understanding, or Christianity. I say that. All right. Let me see what's somewhere else we can go here, because I don't know if Yadi was going to keep on going on Daniel 7, but just skipping down to verse 18, it says, but the saints of the kingdom shall take Salaki, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom.
You're jumping the gun.
Yeah, you told me to talk. You know me, man. I'm gonna talk.
Go back to Daniel 13. Jumping the gun, bro.
This Daniel 7 to 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
So that power that Christ is going to get when he comes back in the clouds, right? All that dominion over everything, he's going to get that, and then he's going to give that to us, the people who overcome, right? So keep going.
Fine. Verse 15, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth.
Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. Go ahead.
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
So the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. Give me Psalms chapter 148, verse 14. Let's see who the saints are. Let's see who the saints are.
Psalms 148, 14.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you stay where you're at. I'm gonna get. Yes, I still want that. Yeah, this is Psalms 148, verse 14. He also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, and people near unto him, praise ye the Lord. So the saints are Israelites. Yep. Saints means the set apart ones. Who's the only people who've been set apart by the Lord? The Israelites. The saints shall take the kingdom. That's the hegemony. That's the rulership and leadership of the world. Right? Keep going to Daniel.
Verse 19, then I would know the truth of the four beasts, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stampled the residue with his feet.
That's the Romans. Go ahead.
And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things.
And that's America. That looks more proud than the other ones, right? It's more style than the other ones. The 3 that fell, Britannia, Spain, and France, to make what? America. That's how America. We all 3 of those together came to be to make America the great. That's that little horn, right? And watch what it says about that little horn. Go ahead.
I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them.
And prevailed against them until when?
Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom.
The saints then possessed the kingdom. The set apart ones got that hegemony. That's what Yahweh told us to pray for. Pray for the kingdom to come. The Lord's kingdom is coming. When the Ancient of Days came, he sent his son. Judgment was given unto the saints, and then they possessed the kingdom. That's what's happening. That's what we need to pray for. And that same little horn, America, is going to be ruling over us until when? Until the Ancient of Days come. We go to verse 27.
Verse 27. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him.
Shall serve and obey him. You see that? That's who the dominion's for. That's who the kingdom's for. That's the hegemony which Christ wanted us to pray for. That's Israelite dominance and supremacy in the world. But for some reason, he died for everybody. You know what I mean? For some reason, he just died for everybody, apparently. Right? Get that in Micah chapter 4, verse 1.
Micah chapter 4, verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth to Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
So in the end times, after that's happened, right, we're going to be exalted above everybody. That's what's happening right here, us possessing the kingdom, us having rulership and dominion over the planet, right? Everybody's going to come to us to hear our laws, statutes, and commandments, which shows you the new covenant is it going to be for everybody. As part of the new covenant, the laws are going to be downloaded in your minds, right? So you see people coming to us. We're not coming to nobody else, right? Because we have the new covenant that's downloaded into our minds. Since they don't have it, they have to come hear the laws to actually know how to be righteous, right? Because it's not downloaded into their minds, showing you that the new covenant can't possibly be for everybody. That doesn't work, right? Read verse 3 in Micah.
Verse 3. And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off. Mm-hmm. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, mm-hmm, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nations shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
And so none of them should learn war anymore. That's world peace. And if y'all want world peace, people always want to say, "I want world peace." If you want world peace, and I'm talking to Edomites, not even just Edomites, all the rest of the Goyim, right? All the rest of the heathen. If you want world peace, go find your nearest Black, Hispanic, and Native American man. Tell that man he's an Israelite, man.
That's right.
Tell that man he's an Israelite. Tell him he need to repent. He needs to believe in the Son, bro. That's what if you want world peace, and just accept us ruling over you, because you get Isaiah 14. Yeah, you can drop that. Give me Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. You give me give me Isaiah 60.
God.
Right, because it says you have to serve and obey. You get this first, Isaiah 60, verse 1.
This is the book of Isaiah 60 and verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness to people. But the Lord shall arise upon you.
The Lord shall arise upon you. The whole world is in darkness. Right? What does that mean? The whole world is in darkness. We are going to be the light bearers. That's why it says in Revelation 2. I'm going to get it so we can say where we at. Revelation 2 in verse 28. It says, "And I will give them the morning star," right? "And he that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches." Or we are going to be the light bearers. Just like how everybody looks at Edom as the people who are the most civilized and have all the wisdom in the world. Everybody's going to look at us like that. We have the light. Y'all are in darkness. That's what we read in Micah chapter 4. Y'all are going to have to come to us, right? Y'all going to have to come to us to hear the law, statutes, and commandments. Go ahead.
But the Lord shall arise upon you, and his glory shall be seen upon you. Mm-hmm. And the Gentiles shall come to your light, and mm-hmm, kings to the brightness of your rising. Mm-hmm. Lift up your eyes round about and see, all they gather themselves together, they come to you. Your sons shall come from far, and your daughters shall be nursed at your side. Mm-hmm. Then you shall see and flow together, and your heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto you. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto you.
Yeah, the forces of the Gentiles shall come unto us. That's all your money, your wealth, your power, everything, man. And when you do that, it's gonna come with things, meaning you're gonna have to serve us.
Yep.
You're gonna have to, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be bad for you, but it's gonna be great for us, man. It's because you know we're better than you. We're better than you, and you know it, right? Get that in Isaiah 14, verse 1. Stay where you at, Donwalla.
Isaiah 14 and 1. For the Lord will have mercy on.
Oh, wait, hold up. Jumping the gun. Donwalla, you go to verse 10. Go to verse 10.
Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up your walls, and their kings shall minister unto you. For in my wrath I smote you, but in my favor have I had mercy on you.
But in his favor, he had mercy on us. So let's see what it looks like when he has mercy on the Israelites. Go ahead and get that in Isaiah 14.
Isaiah 14 and 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, mm-hmm, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, mm-hmm, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Mm-hmm. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids,
Mm-hmm.
and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were,
Mm-hmm.
and they shall rule over their oppressors.
So when it said in Daniel chapter 7, they're going to have to serve and obey him, serve and obey us, really, right? Y'all are going to be cleaving unto the house of Jacob. We're going to take y'all for servant and handmaids, and we're going to rule over our oppressors. That's what this book says. Y'all are reading a different book, right? Y'all reading the Bible, man. You know, right and evil. Y'all reading the Bible. We reading the Bible. Y'all reading the Bible. Y'all reading the bad book. Right? That's what y'all are reading, right? Go back into Isaiah 60.
Isaiah 60 and verse 11. Therefore, your gates shall be open continually; they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto you the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve you shall perish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those nations shall be utterly wasted.
They shall be utterly wasted. If you don't want to serve us, you shall utterly perish. We're going to be pronouncing that judgment. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. Oh, you don't want to come up for the tabernacles? Ah, man, it's unfortunate, man. We're going to just take away that rain. You're going to do what? We're going to take away the rain, man. You know, your crops, you know, your mangoes, your apples, all that. It's finished. It's, you know, like Christ said, it's finished. It's finished.
Try again next year.
Try again next year. Yikes. It's finished, and that's the hegemony Christ prayed for, man. That's what he wants us to go back to that Matthew. Go back to that Matthew.
6 and 10.
Yeah.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Yeah.
And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors.
Now stop right there. Give us our daily bread, right? That's our food. Sustain us. Make sure we have some food to eat. And not only that, forgive us of our transgressions. You even just looking at this prayer that Christ wants us to pray, he wants us to pray for our kingdom and our rulership and our dominion. He wants us to be sustained while we're waiting for that. And he wants us to pray for our sins to be forgiven as we forgive those, right? Just like how you forgive us. Keep going.
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Deliver
us from evil. All the stuff that we're going through, our trials and tribulations. Give me 1 Corinthians 10 to 13. The Lord already has a way for us to escape, right? And that's why we need to be praying for it. Pray for him to deliver us out of these temptations, right? To give us a way of escape. Show us that way of escape.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get that.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13. There have no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it.
The Lord didn't, like, your temptation that you're going through, right? And the temptations are going to, like, the trials, right? The trials you're going through, it's not to a level to where you can't get out of it. The Lord has a way for you to escape from it. You just have to pray that he delivers you from it, shows you the way out of it. That's part of this prayer. Like the Lord's prayer right here, this is the prayer, like Matthew 6 and 9 through all the way to verse 13. That prayer covers damn near everything. You sit down and think about it, it covers everything. And we have to pray this prayer. We have to make sure the Lord gives us a way of escaping, gives us a way to puts the Spirit upon us to forgive our neighbors, makes it to where we actually serve him and want and press for our kingdom, because therein is righteousness. 2 Peter 13, where we look for new heavens, a new earth and new heavens, right? Because we know this was going to be burnt up. And this new kingdom wherein is righteousness, because the kingdom we're in right now, there is no righteousness whatsoever, right? Man can do everything for his daughter, still get it took from her.
Yep.
Right? Man can do whatever, right? You could drive into your car. They said you fit the description, pull you over and shoot you, right?
Yep.
You have to go. Esau can all the Edomites who have rental properties can all get together and be like, we're all going to raise rent on everybody collectively, right? And we're all going to do it collectively so that nobody gets over on anybody, and everybody gets paid more money. We can all eat together. And you know who suffers behind that? Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. Because we'd be the main one renting property because our credit is so bad. So it's ruined before we get to do anything, right? So we can't even get a house. So now we have to rent. If they're raising prices, we're subject to their rent prices. This place is not righteous. It's not our rest, and it never has been, and it never will be. And thank God that it's circling the damn drain, bro.
All praises.
That kingdom is coming, bro.
Yeah, and then you know, just to dive a little bit deeper, right? The Most High gave us the cheat code to fight temptation, so that we can get the kingdom. Literally, verse 11 says, "Give us our daily bread." We know that Christ is the bread of life, right? And we know that bread is the law, statutes, and commandments, man, that we have to follow to fight that temptation. And then even deeper, I know Chief brought this out a little while back. When you go into the Hebrew word for bread, it literally means to fight. It means to fight. the root word of it. So part of the way that we fight temptation is by the word of God, and that's what's gonna get you Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the kingdom.
I got a precept for that. I'm glad you said that. You know, because you know we got to put on the whole armor of God, man. You know, you got this deacon, right? He's Deacon Hakai. He's got this new clothing line called the whole armor, right? What is it? The whole armor guy? You gonna put on the whole armor? Yeah, we're gonna read about that armor, but part of that armor is Ephesians chapter 6 verse 17. It says, "And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God." What is the sword used for? Waging war.
To fight.
To fight.
What are you fighting? Temptation.
But finish that on Matthew.
Chapters 14. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses.
And that's something we got to remember, right? Because there ain't no way we finish in Matthew 6 today. Ain't no way. Ain't no way, bro. The chapter verses. Christ got these chapters just thick for no reason, bro.
Hey, we hard headed, man.
And then it's crazy. We going into it, we still ain't even like we going like a deeper into it, just like the face value, but like we really could spend more time on that's crazy. We really can spend more time. But yeah, that's a good place to end it on. Read that verse again.
But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses.
If you don't forgive men their trespasses, the Father isn't going to forgive you of your trespasses, and you need it. The Lord don't forgive your trespasses, you're going to get put to death. That's what's going to happen. You're finished. You're finito, man. But it's finished, right? You know, I'm going to start doing that to Christians. It's finished, right? You know. you know when you confounded a Christian so hard and they just stuck just asking just various questions. Like, don't worry, man, it's finished, man. You know, the content, you know, it's finished, bro. They
hit you with that. Well, you know, I'll just have to go back and you know reread and do some more studying on that. It's like, yeah, bro, you're finished. Bye.
Of course you do, man. You go home. You forget all about that. Keep saying the same bullshit you did when you came up here.
Yep.
I said, I know.
I have to get back to you on that.
I have to get back to you on that. You'll never get back to me. You were confounded. But you got anything you want to say, Don Waller?
Nah, man, that's it. A powerful, beautiful lesson in the spirit, man.
God. But yeah, you want something you want to say? Come on.
No, all praises, bro.
All praises, man. With that, before I say anything, man, like, subscribe, share, and subscribe, man. If it be on your heart, right? CashApp SicariiDallas, right? CashApp Space City, man. That's our CashApp, right?
Now ours is SICARRI Houston. CashApp SICARRI Houston.
CashApp SICARRI Houston. If it be on your heart, you know we labor in this truth, man. You know, Paul said, if I sow spiritual things, man, I can reap that carnal thing. Right? I'm just playing, man. I'm just.
Email or something for people who got questions.
Oh, kind of. Everybody got questions. I'll put it in the chat. SICARRI.
Brother Caesar been asking questions. You know, we
we'll get to that. SicariiDallas, right? Send questions there. We're trying to get down with the camp. Hit that email, man. Y'all got an email too?
Yeah, I'll put it up in here.
Yeah, put that in the chat.
This is 1715. There we go. Yeah, and that's SICARI Houston's email right there. Y'all want to join? Y'all got questions? Y'all got smoke? Whatever, you know.
We can get you in, get you out, man. yeah, man. But yeah, man. With that, I'm saying call Allah Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai and Shalom.
Shalom.